Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, we're going to be talking about collections. I think this might be the last video in the library section. I'm not sure yet, but I'm eager to get into that develop panel. That's where all the fun stuff happens. But today we're going to be talking about collections, and what collections are like almost like virtual folders within Lightroom where you can store images. So for example, you might want to create a collection called Portfolio where you only store your best of the best photos. So in that scenario, how you would want to do that is over here in the left pane, you can see underneath folders. Folders are the actual folders on your computer where your photos live. So in this example, on my C drive in my 2020 folder, here's my White Mountains folder that we created. This is the actual folder on my computer. Just below that in collections, if I click the plus, I can create a new collection, and I can name that collection Portfolio. And this collection set, I'll get into that in a minute, but it's almost like a folder of collections. So I'll touch on that in just a minute, but for now I'm going to uncheck it because we don't want to create a collection set. And by default, you can include the selected photo. So if you want to highlight a bunch of photos and then create the collection, you can say include selected photos and it will automatically add those photos. But for now, we're just going to create a blank collection called Portfolio. Now you can see it down here in our collections. And how this works is it's pretty simple. You just simply drag and drop a photo into it. And now in my portfolio, I have this photo. Back in my actual folder here, you can see there's now a little box here that says photo is in collection. And if you click it, it'll show you all the collections that it belongs to. So just to be clear, the photo isn't duplicated, it's just referenced in this collection. So you could have the same photo be part of multiple collections if you wanted. So that's basically how collections work. I can just keep going through and drag photos as I see fit. Maybe I have multiple folders up here over time. I've slowly added to my library, and maybe I will pick and choose different photos from those folders to add to this portfolio collection. So that's how collections work. Collection sets, as I mentioned, is like a folder of collections. So for example, let's say we create a collection set called landscapes. Now we have this collection set called landscapes, and then inside of landscapes, I will create a collection called White Mountains. And maybe you would want to have a collection for each of your trips that you take if you're a landscape photographer. So in this collection is White Mountains, and these are going to be all of my favorite photos that I've taken of the various trips that I've taken to the White Mountains. So you can see I've added this photo into the White Mountains collection. I've also added it here into the portfolio collection. If I go back to my actual folder here, you can see the little black box here, photo is in collection. If I click it, I can now see it's part of two collections. It's part of the portfolio collection, and it's part of the White Mountains collection. So that's how collection sets work. You could have multiple collections within this set. The other cool thing about collections is smart collections. And you can see by default, Lightroom gives you some already in its own set called Smart Collections. And if you expand it, you can kind of get an idea about how these work. So this allows you to create a collection based on certain criteria of your photos. So all the different things that we talked about previously, the flags, star ratings, metadata, and many other things too that is sort of beyond the scope of this course. But if you play with it and get in there, you can kind of see how they work. So for example, by default, it gives you a 5-star collection, and it's going to pull back any photos in your entire library that you have given a 5-star rating to, which is kind of cool. So right now, we just have these two photos that I have given 5-star ratings, but if I go back into my library and say I give this one a 5-star rating, now you can see if I go back into the Smart Collection, you can see it shows up here. So that's how Smart Collections work. They're very cool. I don't really use them too much. I probably should. I can definitely see some interesting uses for them. But if you want to create a new one, again, you just, in the Smart Collections here, you can click a drop down and create Smart Collection. You can say whether or not you want it to be inside our Smart Collection set, or we could even put the Smart Collection in our Landscapes folder. It doesn't have to be in our Smart Collections folder. That's just the name of the default set. And then as you create the collection, you can have all of your different rules down here. So for now, we have it set to match all of the following rules, and you can have multiple rules down here, and you can say any or none. So you could say any of the rules, and as long as it hits one of these rules, it'll drop into the folder. But normally, I think you would, for the most part, you would do all. You could say for this smart collection that we're creating, let's just call it blue, and we want to say, you can see all of the different criteria that is in this list by default. There's, the flags, labels, smart previews, stuff that we haven't even touched on yet, but dates that you took the photos. You could have a, collection by date. Develop settings. If you've cropped the photo, you can have a collection based on that. Size of the photo based on the actual image size. And we have a color for actual color bits, so bits per channel. So it gets pretty deep. But right now we want to, for this example, we're going to go label color is blue, and you can even do stuff like is not blue, so it'll pull back everything else that is not blue. But in this example, we're going to have blue. You can click the plus sign and just add multiple criteria if you want. So we could say, bring me back anything that's blue and has a 5-star rating. But we're not going to do that. In this example, we're just going to have the color be blue. Click create. We can see we have our smart collection set to blue. Right now there's no photos because we haven't tagged anything blue yet. But if I go back into my library here, go to this photo, and let's right click, and where is it? Set color label blue. And see, now we have that blue label, and if I go over to our smart collection, you can see there's a 1 next to it because that photo is now being caught by this smart collection. So that's collections. That's how smart collections work. It's a pretty cool organizational feature. Over time, as you start to add folders and pictures into your library, your folders section is going to really balloon out and get big. And your collection section is a way to just sort of narrow down your most favorite photographs, specific criteria, and sort of cull down your list into these smaller folders. And again, it doesn't duplicate your images. This is just a reference to the photo. So, and again, you can have photos in multiple collections, collection sets, all that good stuff. So those are collections. That's a pretty cool feature of the library. And I think that is going to about do it for the library module. Really eager to get into the develop pane. So those videos are probably going to be coming later next week. I have to go through and figure out how I want to divide up that part of the course. It's a lot more in-depth. There's going to be a lot to cover, but that's going to be the fun stuff. So thanks for sticking around if you've made it this far, if you've made it through the library section of the little tutorial course I've got going here. If you appreciate the content, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's a big help to getting these videos seen by other people, and it also incentivizes me to make more of them. So again, leave questions in the comments, and maybe at the end of the course, I will do a Q&A section or something like that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Cheers.